It started with the radio. I just moved into a new apartment, nothing fancy, just a studio above an old bakery. The place had charm, creaky floors, stained walls, and a built-in AM/FM radio mounted to the kitchen wall, like something out of the 60s. I never really used it until that one night. There was a storm, thunder loud enough to shake the windows. I couldn't sleep, so I flipped the radio on, hoping for some late-night music to drown out the weather. All I got was static. But then, I heard something in it. Not music, not ads, a voice, faint at first, warped and whispery. It sounded like it was underwater, or maybe too far away to come through clearly. But it was speaking. My name, over and over. Ryan, Ryan, can you hear me? I turned the dial to another station. More static, same voice, every frequency. Please, I need your help. I turned it off and went straight to bed, convincing myself I was overtired. But I dreamed of the voice all night. Woke up gasping, heart racing. The next day, I asked the landlord if the radio ever acted weird. He didn't even blink. Rip it out if you want, he said. Tenants always complain about that thing. I didn't. Not yet. The next night, the voice returned. Clearer this time. It was a woman. She said her name was Anna, and she was trapped. Not dead, she insisted. Just stuck. Somewhere between. I asked how she got there. Silence. Then static. Then, you can help me, Ryan. Just keep listening. Against my better judgment, I did. For days. I turned the radio on every night, and Anna would speak to me. She told me small things about herself. How she used to live in my apartment, how she loved jazz, how she missed the sound of rain. I started to feel connected to her, until she asked me to do something. Open the back panel, Ryan. Please. I need out. I didn't even know the radio had a back panel. But when I looked closely, I saw 4 tiny screws half rusted shut. I hesitated, then unscrewed them with a butter knife. Inside was darkness, wires, dust, and a single Polaroid photo taped to the back wall. It was of a woman, pale, wide-eyed, mouth slightly open, as if she'd been mid-sentence. She looked terrified. It was dated October 13th, 1987. No message, no explanation. That night, I confronted Anna. She was silent for a long time. Then she said, I didn't want you to see that yet. I asked who she really was, and her voice changed. It got deeper, slower, echoing with something wrong. I was here before her, before all of them. They just keep listening. The radio screeched like metal tearing. My lights flickered. The walls felt closer, tighter. I shut the radio off and backed away. But it turned itself back on. Too late now, Ryan. You tuned in. I ripped the whole unit out of the wall the next day. Tossed it down the building's incinerator chute. But that night, I heard static from my phone. It was off. Now it's every speaker, every screen. My laptop, my headphones, even the baby monitor at my sister's house. Any device that can emit sound starts to crackle when I'm nearby. And sometimes I still hear her. Ryan, turn it back on. Let me finish the story. But I don't dare. Because I think Anna was never trapped in the radio. She was waiting for someone to let her out. I used to work the night shift as a janitor at St. Alder's Psychiatric Hospital. The place had been running since the 1800s and was mostly abandoned by the time I got there. Just a few active wings, and the rest sealed off with rusted chains and thick dust. They paid well because nobody wanted the shift. Not because of the danger, but because of the stories. Everyone who worked there had heard about the West Wing, the oldest part of the hospital, long shut down after a fire in the 1970s. They said the fire started in room 322, and that no one made it out, except one patient, a man with no name, no record, just a number, X322. They called him the last patient. The nurses swore they heard whispers when walking past the locked double doors of the West Wing. Whispers that knew their names. One even quit after seeing a figure in hospital whites standing at the end of the corridor, unmoving. I didn't believe any of it until the night the power went out. It was around 2 a.m., and I was mopping near the elevator when everything went black. Emergency lights flickered on. Red. Cold. Dim. I radioed the front desk. No response. Then my radio crackled with static, followed by a whisper. You dropped something. I looked down. My keys were gone. When I turned around, they were sitting right in front of the West Wing doors. which should have been chained shut. But they were open. Not wide, just enough to tempt someone curious. Someone like me. I should have walked away. Should have called someone. But the hospital was quiet, too quiet, and I felt drawn in. I stepped through. The temperature dropped immediately. It smelled like burnt hair and bleach. The walls were blackened with soot. Old wheelchairs sat overturned in the hallway like they'd been abandoned mid-sprint. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Behind me. I turned around, no one there. I kept walking, deeper into the wing, until I reached room 322. The door was missing. Inside, the walls were covered in words, scratched over and over until the paint peeled away. One sentence repeated dozens of times. He's not gone. He's waiting. Then I saw the chair in the middle of the room, and someone sitting in it. Back to me. Head down. I froze. Sir? I asked, my voice cracking. The figure slowly turned. His skin was pale, stretched too tightly across his face. His eyes were all white, no iris, no pupil. His mouth hung open wider than it should have, like his jaw had been broken and never reset. Then he smiled, and whispered, "You came late." The door slammed shut behind me. I don't remember how I got out. I must have run, but it's a blur. 1 minute I was in that room. The next I was sprinting down the corridor with something chasing me, its footsteps echoing faster, heavier. I didn't stop until I burst through the emergency doors and collapsed in the parking lot. I quit the next morning. But ever since that night, something's followed me. Lights flicker when I walk into rooms. My phone rings at 3:22 a.m. every night, no caller ID. Just heavy breathing. And yesterday, someone slipped a hospital bracelet into my mailbox. It read, "Patient X 322. Admitted, April 23rd. That's today. I don't think he's waiting in the hospital anymore. I think he found a new room. Mine. When I was 12, my mom and I moved into my grandfather's old house after he passed. It was one of those creaky, two-story homes with narrow hallways and doors that didn't quite shut. The kind of house that always felt cold, no matter the season. I hated that place from the start, especially the staircase. It wasn't just the way the wood groaned when you stepped on it. It was the space underneath, sealed by an old wooden panel with a rusted keyhole. My grandfather used to call it the old crawl space, and he warned me never to mess with it. Mom said it was just where he stored junk, but I noticed she always avoided it too. The first time I heard him, I was alone. Mom was working late, and I was watching cartoons in the living room. That's when I heard it, 3 slow knocks from inside the crawl space. Knock, knock, knock. I turned off the TV and froze. The knocks came again, louder this time. Then a voice, low and rough like someone who hadn't spoken in years. "Hey kid, wanna play a game?" I ran to my room, locked the door, and cried until Mom came home. When I told her, she didn't laugh. She didn't say I was imagining things. She just got quiet and asked if the door was still shut. I said yes. She nodded and made me promise never to answer it again. I didn't sleep that night. Over the next few weeks, it got worse. Every night around 2 a.m., I heard scratching from under the stairs. Sometimes whispers, sometimes soft humming. One night, I heard heavy breathing, like something was crawling inside the walls, dragging itself closer. Then came the dreams. I'd wake up soaked in sweat, hearing his voice in my head. "Just open the door. Just for a second. I'm so lonely down here." I started sleeping with a baseball bat. I placed salt in front of the crawl space door like I'd read online. Nothing stopped it. Then I made the biggest mistake of my life. One night, desperate to prove I wasn't crazy, I set up my phone to record the crawl space overnight. I left it on a chair facing the panel, then went to bed. The next morning, the phone was gone. I found it hours later in the bathtub, screen cracked, soaking wet. The last video was only 14 seconds long. It showed the crawl space panel slowly swinging open by itself. Darkness inside, then a hand, thin gray with 2 long fingers and blackened nails. It reached out and grabbed the camera. That was it. I begged my mom to leave. She finally broke down and told me the truth. When she was a kid, something lived under those stairs. She used to hear it whisper too. Grandpa told her it was the man he let in, something he'd summoned by mistake, trying to talk to his dead wife. It offered to bring her back. All it needed was a door left open. When he said no, it stayed. Trapped, angry. He sealed the crawl space with salt, iron, and prayers, and warned us never to disturb it. But I did. and now it was free. That night, the scratching turned into banging. The panel shook violently, like something was slamming its whole body against it. Then, crack. The panel split. We ran. Left everything behind. I haven't been back since. Sometimes, though, when I walk by staircases, any staircase, I swear I hear a voice whisper from the shadows. I remember you. I'm still waiting.